with Mtumishi Jared Okello, MP, Nyando constituency.
So even as we look at the happenings, one also then must ask the question that where does the loyalty lie? For members of let's look at Parliament specifically, whereby it is clear that this representation has been lent to members of Parliament, representatives. You have been given the opportunity to do so. But where does the loyalty lie? Because we've seen so much, there's a lot of horse trading between this lending between the people and the executive. What's the truth in terms of this power?
In our former regime, before the new constitutional dispensation, which was enacted in the year 2010, every swearing-in ceremony from the president deep down to the member of county assembly, who were called councillors at the time, was to swear allegiance to the president. To the president. And then the nation comes later. Now, with the new constitution that we have, not new as such, it moved then from the president to the Republic of Kenya. That therefore means that any loyalty, if there were, should be to the Republic. And the Republic means the people that we represent. The president has a constituency. Members of Parliament do have constituencies. The governors deep down to the members of county assembly. So your loyalty should be tied to the people who then, by a wider view, become the Republic of Kenya.
Okay.
But I know that has been lost in the mix of things because people tend not to disassociate political party leanings to the government of the day. Now, the government, as I said, is a separate animal. And then you have the other strata of government. So you have the National Assembly, you have the Senate, you have, women representatives and all that, who should always align their views, their policies, their leanings to the people that they represent. But because political parties make governments, people affiliated to those political parties think that they are government and therefore they shouldn't have any other extraneous consideration that benefits the people.
Yeah, it always is the government. But, let's be real. It's not to the party.
No, it's not.
It is to the individual. People do not align themselves with the party ODM. They align themselves with the person, Raila Odinga. It's not with the UDA or Kenya Kwanza. It's the person, William Ruto. It's the person, Uhuru Kenyatta. It's the person, Kalonzo Musyoka for Wiper.
Right.
That's it. Right. So how do we get ourselves from, because this is why I think, by observation, we see that even those in Kenya Kwanza, in the various parties in Kenya Kwanza, when they are in the house, they look up to William Ruto. They feel that they actually owe something to William. They are beholden to William Ruto. He contributed to them getting into that office. Uhuru Kenyatta went ahead and actually told them directly, some of you people, I helped. You owe your position to me.
Yeah.
And he's all and told them that.
Yeah.
You and now I can't even fathom that you'd stand up and say anything against me, right? I made you, right? Yeah. So this is the tricky situation that you find yourselves in.
Whereas that
you've got to kiss the ring,
right? We have had our democracy, for many years, but we treat it as if it's still in a nascent stage. That is our, travesty. Yeah. You have political parties, go to the US, for example, the two dominant political parties, the Republican and the Democratic Party. They are just political parties. There is no one above it that you have to really, as you say, kiss his ring in order to win a political seat. So all the allegiance are to the major political party without an individual tied to it. Now, I don't know whether before they got to this stage, that they were also to listen to certain political leaders in order for, for elections to ensue. Because truth be told, if you're coming from central Kenya, for example, today, you may want to align yourself with the former deputy president. If you are from Ukambani, you still want to be with Kalonzo Musyoka.
Why? And I think that's the question.
Yes.
That why does leadership
Right.
and good governance have to be tied to an individual? I don't think it has to be, but I think that if we are coming from the place where that republic, whose allegiance you've actually sworn to, if that is front and center, really, of your intention, then perhaps there would be no need to have to look to the individual that you then have to be subservient, loyal, and place your allegiance to. Have we from the very beginning, is the compass not pointing in the right direction?
No, it's true, but it's
Well-
difficult. You know why?
I'm sure it's difficult, but that's
see,
the thing. We've
we-
taken the easy route.
No, I'm actually agreeing with you here.
okay, please.
Yes. It's just that I began the agreement in a lopsided
Oh, we
manner.
agree problem.
But I'm actually agreeing with you.
Yeah.
You see, we give the example of America, and we fail to understand that this was a newly formed nation, and everybody from everywhere came there.
Yeah.
There were some people like our relatives who went there by force. The natives who actually owned the country were decimated and taken to some
pushed to-
to just about the most unfathomable pieces of land you could have. So what they corralled around were ideas. Remember, they had a monarchy to fight.
Yes.
Okay? Now, when they had fought the monarchy, they then went and fought among themselves. That more or less galvanized the ideas around which now their politics functioned. Who supported this ideology and who supported the other. Over time, they even changed. Like many people don't know that Abraham Lincoln was actually a Republican.
Yeah.
You see? So what we know the Republicans to be now is what the Democrats were known to be at an earlier time. Because most of the Democrats were from the South.
Yes, they were.
All right? Now, that's their evolution. We have had communities that have been the way they are as God made them. Okay? So we are accustomed to coalescing around our communities. This idea of mixing and matching is something that we are still learning to do. We are still learning to accept. We are still learning to move away from demonizing communities because we don't understand them. So our democracy in many ways reflects that, our heritage and our background. And we keep saying we need to shed it. Yes, we can actually. But for many people, it's what our politics revolves around. So they are very unlikely to shed it.
Yeah, on the same, I wish we would reach a situation just as you envisage, that we will run away from personality and have politics based on issues. How I wish we would get there faster. I don't know how long it took the United States, but I think my constituent Muga has put it quite ably.
I don't
That
think
they were from different, they were just from different backgrounds, and therefore it was very difficult to rally them along ethnic or regional lines, because these were all, foreigners, immigrants, so to speak. So in our situation, we have the political leaders. You talk about Uhuru Kenyatta still for Jubilee, Kalonzo Wiper, Raila Odinga now, Professor Peter Nyang' Nyong'o for ODM.
It's Raila.
William Ruto.
Raila has also been very clear. Nyong'o is just a placeholder.
Yes.
While
Right. While he concentrates on the other side. So, and this has also been buoyed by the electorate.
Yeah.
If the electorate would take a different tangent, then it would be much easier. But assuming Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga today decomes ODM and moves to another political outfit, Wiper, for example, it will be a mass exodus of the electorate. So you are a leader standing by yourself that you
With
want
that party.
to identify with the ideals of ODM, you will be on your own. So this one, whereas the leaders need to give a direction, that direction many a times would be rejected by the electorate. And you do not serve on your own. You serve by the electorate. And by the way, Ukambani politics, where Kalonzo has now been their leader for years, it's because the people, the common people, align with his ideas.
They have endorsed him.
They have endorsed him.
Yes.
To the effect that if you come out as a good leader and you want to represent your people and you present facts and very good policies, refined, they will listen to you. But at the end of the day, they will be asking, chama yake. Yeah.
Anapigana na Kalonzo.
Yes. With all those good policies notwithstanding. So, that
So
is
the
where
issue
we
is
are.
the people.
It is the people.
Yeah, it comes back into that. If why are the people then like that? Why are we, the electorate, like that? Because like now, as you can see, Mount Kenya is struggling to see, all right, are we going back to Uhuru? Are we saying, sorry, Uhuru, we wronged you, now we are back? Even Gachagua has come to apologize. It's you, Uhuru, now give us the direction. Why? Why Uhuru Mount Kenya? Why? Look at Ukambani. At the end of the 2002 election, it was clear, the message was clear that Kalonzo, don't mess with Kalonzo, right? Look at the number of MPs, the senators, the MCAs that his party garnered, and those ones were saying it's Kalonzo, right?
Right.
Kina Kivuda Kibwana and
Mutua
and others. Well, yeah.
Decimated.
But it's Kalonzo,
Politically,
right?
yeah.
So-
Gilu.
So why is it that our people like that? Is it in our DNA?
No, I
We
think.
identify with one king, one leader, one.
Right. We also have to understand where we are coming from. For example, where I come from, the successive regimes have alienated us. We have been abandoned and confined to oblivion by successive regimes. And Moi actually put it in plain, that Siasambaya, and Siasambaya for him was punching holes on his governance.
You're not on my side.
Yes. So that was Siasambaya. And, we are also not accustomed to keeping quiet when things go wrong. So then that feeds into our more problems. So if you have a people who are isolated, it is so easy to galvanize them around one leader so that they can fight for survival. Ukambani, we know, has always been sidelined. Water is still a problem, as basic as it is. You go to places like, Western Kenya, though there are many leaders in Western Kenya, but again, out of that, they have also not been so alienated like the rest of the country. So you look at areas where the successive governments have given them a wide berth, they tend to regroup, isolate themselves from what would call powers that be, and appoint a leader to speak on their behalf. So, and this is all around resources. And we have tried to escalate or cascade resources to the periphery as much as we can by way of devolution through the counties, the CDF, equalization fund. We have tried to do that, but you do all your math, 85% of resources or even more are still held by the national government.
Yep.
So that therefore creates more reasons for people to feel that they have continued to be alienated. You remember, just a few months ago, after the Gen Z's protest and reconstitution of cabinet, Luo community got 2 cabinet slots. A few days later, the president went to visit Luo Nyanza, and you could see, the
attitude had changed.
the ecstasy just around his welcoming, just because they feel that at least for once, we have a representation in the 85% of resources by the national government.
May I interject?
Right.
So does that mean then that the euphoria was around the man, the president, or the euphoria was around now the
Inclusion.
The inclusion?
Well, it was around a symbol of inclusion. Yes. Of course, 2 is paltry. But 2 out of 22, not so bad for a country with 8 regions, okay? What we used to call provinces. So you have 2, and it creates just some greater happiness and joy across Luo Nyanza. And by the way, that trip had not been pre-planned. It only coincided with appointments of those people. And you could see the joy percolating in the entire Luo region. So much of it, as I said, is about resources.
So then, now, let's actually just take that one example. This region, you come from this region, you've grown up in this region, you're a leader in this region, okay? If you look at the Kibaki 2, this region had leaders in government. This region had the co-president of the Republic of Kenya in government, all right? Look at Uhuru 2. This leader, this region had handshake and leaders in government. Now we do have that. So you'd expect that the people who have actually suffered the brunt of marginalization would go into government and now champion that we don't have to have our leader coming to kiss a ring so that we can start enjoying this. We shall go to the ideals of the Constitution and ensure that the resources reach the people so that it doesn't matter whether you are from Tana River or from Kajiado or from Eldoret and you are the president. We don't have to come and bow to you. We shall get what we deserve. You'd expect that would come from leaders who've gone through such a harrowing experience.
Right. It is common knowledge that Baba is the author of devolution. He came up with the idea, he made sure it formed part of our constitution. By the way, originally we as ODM wanted 45% of resources to be taken to the counties, so that the national government, which should actually be doing policies, not implementation. Implementation should be by the county governments down there. 45%, so that if the 55% would be held here at the in Nairobi, then it makes a lot of sense that our regions will grow. But it was fought by those who have always been around government and understand what it means to have power and resources moving in tandem. So they fought it, and it only came down to 15%. And by the way, it is not just the 15% of the prevailing budget. They look at the 15% of the previous years.
Last audited.
Yeah, audited. And usually the Auditor General is
You're 2 years behind.
Yeah, 2 years behind. So we are getting 15% of the year 2021.
Of Uhuru's cabinet.
Of Uhuru's government.
Budget.
Of
Yes.
history.
So you can imagine with the increasing taxation regimes together with mopped up collection by Kenya Revenue Authority, it is like 100% is still being held here. If the current data is anything to go by, 100%.
So back to my question.
Right.
So why is it that the author of devolution, who then ends up wielding power in these two administrations, would not use that opportunity, plus the leaders such as yourselves who understand the history and the background of it, to actually champion for better?
Actually,
That you'll end up having to kiss a ring.
right. Well, Baba has never kissed anyone's ring, including during Kibaki 1 and Kibaki 2. And that is what actually caused
That you'll end
the
up
fallout.
donating only for
donating
experts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And those experts still don't
Right.
have you.
Right. Right. So it is about Baba making sure that resources go to the counties. I think this is a message that he has constantly told the public. He has punched holes where necessary with the government to ensure that the resources do not just delay. Because really, they delay. Right now, if you talk to governors, they will tell you, since July, they haven't seen any money. And Baba has consistently talked about all these issues so that the government of the day can wake up to the reality that resources are needed. It's only Baba who has always talked about equity in distribution of national resources. He has.
Talking is one thing, Bwana.
Well, that is the much he can do.
No,
He's not.
It's not the much that he can do.
What else can he do apart from, letting?
Look. this region is donating expertise into government.
Right.
Right.
Oh, they're up 2 months old in office.
The leader is donating expertise and wisdom into Uhuru Kenyatta's government, into William Ruto's government.
He didn't do it for Uhuru Kenyatta.
He donated wisdom. Uhuru was calling him my brother. I confirmed. What do you mean, Bwana?
There were no experts.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
So, in the end, why aren't we seeing more? Why do we have to have, a Luo MP leaving Parliament to go and join cabinet, and then we say, now at least we feel included? Why do the people have to feel included
Eric,
by
let
that?
me chime
Why?
in and help you with this. You've asked the questions, let me answer it. The reason why that exclusion that which my MP here has spoken of bites even more for Luo Nyanza is because they had a taste of power and authority.
At independence.
They did. They had a huge slice. So when it was taken, they felt it more than anybody else could feel it. Because when the disagreement between Jaramogi and Jomo Kenyatta came about, it's not just marginalization. People lost jobs. People were removed from positions they were in. If you're fortunate, you marked time. So you feel it sharper when you have already understood what it is.
And then it's taken from you.
It's taken. Now, there are areas of this country that never had it.
So now,
So they have absolutely no idea what it even feels like.
Siti, to
Yes.
my question in a minute. Would you expect that leaders such as Jared and others, now who are in these positions, should be able to be actually championing and saying it should not matter where you're from, that you shall receive services?
Reality is manifested with the creation of the county governments. If indeed the government lived up to what is expected, funds would go to the county governments and the very thing you're asking for would be achieved. We'd be able to say, we have the resources, it's up to us to do what it is we need for our people. That hasn't happened yet.
well, I agree with Eric. Why Parliament exists, both the Senate and the National Assembly, is to ensure that that oversight is carried out. When counties don't get their due share, it is the Senate to ask those pertinent questions, and then the resources should then move to the ground. So if resources have not been channeled to the ground and Senate is quiet, yet they represent their counties, which should have access to development, then that becomes a very pertinent question to ask.
Which goes back into what you were saying, that Parliament should be doing a lot more than it's doing.
Much more.
Jared Okello, thank you very much for joining us today. Come again soon, tafadhali.
Thank you.
To this conversation.
I will.
This is the Member of Parliament for Nyando, what Okoth called Nyando constituency, Nyando Bay.
Thank you very
It's
much.
9 a.m. Time for the news.